We are so excited to have you here with us, and I cannot wait to give you all the tips and tricks that we have available for you, and hopefully you walk away from today's session feeling like you've made your life a little bit easier for yourself, and then make your life easier for your clients, and it just makes your life easier, and it just goes round and round and round. And it's again so awesome to see where everybody's from. I saw Bill Frost, you're from Boulder, Colorado. I'm actually from Denver, Colorado. So I'm glad to see people kind of here in my same state, as well as all across the U.S. So thanks so much for being here with us today. If you haven't already, please answer the polling questions. It's great for me to understand your experience level with Doxy.me. About only 38% of you have answered the first question. So it'd be awesome to have a better understanding of where everybody is coming at. And then also we have the handouts in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. If you click on that handouts tab, please download the handouts. It looks like only about 50% of all of you have downloaded the handouts. So we would love for you to have those handouts to be able to walk away with some resources from today's session. So before we jump into everything, I want to make an acknowledgement that today is actually Yom Kippur. And that we just wanted to acknowledge it for those of you who are here with us today, honoring today, as well as anybody who isn't able to make it here today, any provider that is honoring today and is not working or not here with us. So we just wanted to make that acknowledgement before we started our session today. I am Michael Heckendorn. I am a licensed professional counselor and nationally certified counselor. I have owned my own private practice since 2018. As a mental health practice, working with adolescents, typically young males that are struggling with a wide variety of different things. And then I've also been doing a lot of parenting with parents about how to parent their angsty teenagers. So that's kind of what I do, and I'm so happy to be doing that work. But I've just recently taken a new role here at Doxy.me. I've been working for Doxy.me for about the last 3 months. And I get to do things like this. I get to do presentations and do trainings and work with you all to make sure that you're getting the most out of our platform. So that's who I am, and I'm going to be with you all for the next 30, 45 minutes. Hopefully, again, having you walk away with some amazing resources, and hopefully you walk away feeling like you understood the platform of Doxy.me a little bit more in depth. In addition to having me today, you have someone way better. We have Paige Treadway, who is our customer success manager. She's been with Doxy.me for like 4 years, has been through it all, has been through the surge during the pandemic, and has been supporting providers just like you. You probably have had lots of conversations with Paige over the years. She has been our wonderful support, and she is incredible. So she's actually going to be in the chat with you all today answering questions. So if you write a question in the chat, then you can, she'll be the one to answer. So we have Paige here today. And then we also have a couple other people from Doxy.me on the call who will also be helping out throughout the chat today. So again, so happy that you all are here and that you can, get to know me as well as get to know Paige a little bit throughout today's session. To get the most out of the webinar today, I just want to acknowledge that you are muted and that your camera is turned off. But the best way to stay present. So close any unnecessary windows. We want to make sure that you're walking away with everything that we have to offer today. And then download the handout so that way you have the resources from today's session. And then in addition to that, the chat is going to be going the whole session. So feel free to write in questions, and then we'll also have a Q&A time at the end that if you want to ask a question during that time, we will hopefully be able to get to answer it. Any question that goes unanswered during today's session, we will be emailing you a response individually to make sure that we answer your question as well. Well, this slide is mostly for me. I like to just kind of do a big breath, kind of get centered before I start a presentation, but also I acknowledge that you all you might be in between your sessions. You might be on a 30-minute lunch break, wherever you are in your day. And it's Wednesday, we're trying to get through the week. I just want to take a deep collective breath. And the way I like to do this with my clients is to just breathe in through my nose for 3 seconds, hold it for 1 second, and then exhale out of my mouth for 3 seconds. So I invite you to close your eyes, and I invite you to soften your gaze, but we're gonna just inhale for 3 seconds through our nose, hold for 1 second, and exhale. I like this little exercise because it helps remind me that my butterflies in my stomach aren't necessarily nerves, it's excitement. I can reframe my thoughts about that and, change my experience of how I'm going through today's session. So I am just, again, so excited to be here with you all. And we're just going to jump right into things today. I want to acknowledge that this session is going to feel like it's going to move quickly. We have a lot to cover in a kind of a short amount of time. We're going to cut into that Q&A time just a little bit as well. But it's a jam-packed session. So I hope that you have, that you can take some notes. We will be sending you out this recording. We will be sending out the handouts as well. But if you have the handouts, it's great for you to go through it with us. From our first group of attendees, we polled them to see what they wanted to learn. And we heard them and we heard you in the sense that the highest priority for today's session is to talk about our professional features, just what our pro features are, how do you best use them. And again, these features have been here for you for a while. So we want to make sure that you are accessing the professional features that are available to you. Then we want to go over our new features. Our new features were the second highest priority. We just launched some awesome new tools and I can't wait to show you how to use them. The third thing is talking about workflows, and I'm going to incorporate those workflows into the conversation about professional features. And then lastly, we are going to talk about marketing and marketing tactics, strategies that you can use in your practice. In fact, we're going to actually start with the marketing tactics just because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to just kind of hit it, and then we're going to just then go into all of the other topics for today. So we have, Doxy.me has created several really awesome, incredible tools that you can use for your private practice on your website. They're already created. We have web badges, we have social media banners, we have website graphics, and we have email announcements. I want to reiterate that on the handout, everything that is written here that's underlined in blue and it's in blue font is a link to another article or a help article that you can get in-depth information about those different topics. So that way, if you have the handout, you're going to be able to get all of these resources as we move forward. The only one of these marketing tactics I really am going to cover today is we're going to talk about web badges. Web badges, it's a really, really convenient way to have your different clients access your waiting room, your Doxy.me waiting room. For me personally, I get really annoyed, or maybe not annoyed, that's not the right word. I don't ever remember my own waiting room link. And so when my clients ask me, hey, what's your waiting room link again? I have to go log in, look it up, email it to them or text it to them, and then they have to go to it. There's so many steps and there's a lot of kind of barriers to entry to make sure that my clients are just accessing my waiting room. To kind of work around this, Doxy.me has created these really nice looking web badges. And I want to show you what that looks like on my screen. So on my website, I have a Meet Michael page. So this is my private practice's website. Meet Michael, people can read a little bit about me. But right here at the bottom, I have included this nice web badge. Again, it looks nice, it's visually appealing. It tells people where they're going. They're going to Doxy.me's website. They're going to enter my waiting room. And all they have to do is click on this button. So from now on, all I have to do is tell my clients, hi everybody, all I have to do is tell my clients that they just need to go to my website and go to the Meet Michael page and click on enter my waiting room. There's no other steps. I don't have to remember. They don't have to type in a URL or anything like that. It's really easy for them to get into my waiting room. You can access these web badges by logging into your Doxy.me account and going into this account settings tab and then clicking on link badges. And I can show you what that looks like here in just a second. So if you sign into your Doxy.me account and then you go into your account settings and then you go over here to link sharing, you can see that there is this area for web badges. And right here, you can change the format of your web badge and you can copy the code and get that on your website. How you put it on your website, if you're not super tech savvy or if you're not sure how to put an embed code on your website, There's lots of different YouTube videos out there to show you how to do it. And if you use like a software developer or website designer for your website, you can ask them to put that code in wherever you want it specifically. So that is how you do web badges. And it's a really nice little tool that gets clients right into your waiting room from your website. Like I said, in addition to that, we have social media banners, we have website graphics, email announcements. These are all plug and play. You can take these, put them right on your website. We've already created these materials for you, so please use them as you wish. Now I'm going to take another deep breath. That was very quick. We have about 20-25 minutes remaining of our time together, and we're going to go through all of our professional features, our new features, as well as talk about some workflows. So we're going to jump right into everything else that we have for today. So we're going to kind of like a hard pivot. This is the list of all of our professional features. We have group calling, we have enable HD video, customizing your waiting room, collecting payments from patients, sharing your screen, and transfer files. Now, again, all of these words on this handout, if you have that handout downloaded, are links. So they bring you to different help articles for each one of those points. The ones that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about group calling, and we're going to talk about customizing your waiting room, sharing your screen, and transferring files. So those are the 4 that we're going to really concentrate on during our session today. I want to reiterate, though, that these professional features are only for our professional users. So if you're on the free tier, or if you are any free user doesn't have access to these features. So these are only for our professional users. And so that's why we want to go over them with you all today. Now, I'm going to show you live all of these features, but the one thing I want you to walk away with today, this is the big learning. The one thing I want you to walk away with today is how to do a call with yourself. The reason why I want that to be our #1 focus today is because you can then do a call with yourself and practice each one of these different professional features on your own without needing to be on a call with a client or with a friend or a family member. You can just do it on your own by yourself. And I find that to be a really convenient way. So that way, if I mess up something when I'm on a call with myself, there's no consequence. But if I do it with a client, then I maybe look not professional, or if I might drop the call with my client, something might happen. So I always like to practice these features beforehand with a call for myself. So I'm going to show you how to do that first, and then we're going to jump into all of these features. From your Doxy.me page, once you're logged in, you can see that over here we have a list of this is like our menu for the provider view. When you do a call with yourself, you're not going to see over here, or when you do a call with anybody, you're not going to see group calling. You're not going to see file transfer or share screen. Like these professional features, I don't see them. Do I have access to them? Well, the answer is yes, but you need to start a call. Once you're in a call, you're going to see group call, you'll see file transfer, and you'll see screen share and all the other professional features. Now, to do a call with yourself, the first thing I always like to do is I like to turn off my camera on my Doxy.me page, and I want to mute myself. This makes sure that you're limiting any kind of feedback that you get when you have a call with yourself. Then you're gonna want to copy your Doxy.me waiting room link. So I'm going to copy my Doxy.me waiting room link, and you'll go up to the top and you're going to open up a new tab, and you'll paste in your waiting room link. The reason why I'm going to move my tab over, I just like having my tabs right next to each other, my client view tab and then my provider view tab. So this will be client #1. Again, before I start any kind of call with myself, I want to mute it and I want to turn off my camera. Now, the best way to understand, because it's a little confusing going back and forth between tabs, my provider tab will always have this menu over here on the side, where my client view will not have that on that side. So if you ever get lost of like which tab is which, where am I on my client view or am I on my provider view, you can just look to see if you have a menu with options. So I'm going to be going back and forth, and I'm going to try to make sure that you keep track where I am between a client view and a provider view. So from my provider view, I can start a call with myself. And then this is going to be with client 1, but this is just with myself. So I'm going to click start call. Now I'm on a call with myself, and I can quickly see on the left-hand side that my menu options have changed. I can now see group call. I can see screen share. I can see file transfer. I can see all of these other professional tools on my toolbar. So I can now take them and do them. The very first professional feature that I want to show you all how to do is to do a group call. Right now, if I clicked on group call, nothing's going to happen because it's like, hey, you're on a call with only one other person. It's not a group. So there's nobody else to add to the call. That's totally fine. With group call, to do it by yourself, you need to add another client to the call. And you do it the same way I did it the first one. So I have client number 1 right here. I have my provider view right here. But I'm going to open up another tab. And then I'm going to put in my waiting room link one more time. This time, I'm going to check in as client number 2. Again, I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to turn off my camera. I'm going to jump back over to my provider view, and now I can see on the left-hand side that I'm on a call with client 1. And then if I go down and I look down here, in my patient queue, I have client number 2. And again, these are all me. I'm just doing this all on my own, and you can do this on your own as well anytime that you want to. So now I can do a group call. I'm on a call with a client, and I have client number 2 in my patient queue. And now I'm going to click on group call. Here you can see that you can add up to 10 additional participants on a call. So now I'm going to add client number 2 to my group call. And then I'm going to click confirm. Doxy.me will re-optimize the connection for the group call. And then you get a couple cool options. And the option that I like to do down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to zoom in, is click on gallery view. I like to use gallery view because now when I look at this, I can see both client number 1 and client number 2. So this is how you do a group call, and it's really, really easy. But the biggest trick here is that you need to start a call with one client first, and then you add additional clients to that call. So that's group call. Really great. I love it when I do intake sessions and I have maybe multiple family members there. Instead of crowding everyone behind one camera, I want to make sure that everybody has a voice. And then obviously group calling is perfect for when you are doing a group. You have everybody having the chat feature. You can run a group, a fully functional group on Doxy.me's website. Okay, now, I don't need client number 2 anymore. So I'm just going to hang up on client number 2. So let's say I want to make sure that I'm continuing my call with client 1, but I just want to end the call with client number 2. I'm going to click on those 3 dots, and I'm going to click end call. This gets rid of client number 2. So now I'm just on a call again with myself. Now I have the ability to practice any other feature that I want to practice with. That's outside. Again, I'm not on a client call. I can practice with myself. So the 2 other things that I want to show you right now is talking about file transfer and talking about how to do screen share. File transfer and screen share are great. When I first thought about it, I was just thinking I just transfer a file and that's it. Or I share my screen really quickly to go over something with my client. But what I like to think about these 2 things is that I like to think about them together. That I'm going to transfer a file to my client, and then we can go over that. And in terms of like clinical interventions, or if you're a medical doctor or maybe like a nutritionist, or just depending on what you're doing for your profession. But I think about like a nutritionist who created a meal plan and wants to go over that meal plan while also sending that meal plan to their client. Or me as like a therapist, if I have a CBT handout, or if I have, and I'll show you here in a second, like an emotion wheel that I want my client to have, but also do a planned intervention with, this is a great combination to do it. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to click on File Transfer. That's how I'm going to send my client a document. And this document is saved on my computer somewhere, or you can download it from the website, have your documents in a file on your computer, and now I want to transfer that file to my client. So I'm going to click on File Transfer, and then I'm going to find my file, and I'm going to drag it up into this little drop area. I'm going to drop it there. And it seems like nothing happens on my end, right? Nothing, it doesn't, like nothing works, but it says it's waiting for my client. So I'm going to go to my client view and I'm going to click download. So this is what your client will see when a file gets dropped to them. Then I'm going to click download. And now I have that file. I can go back to my provider view, and if it was successful, there's going to be this green banner at the top. It says client number 1 accepted your file transfer. Good to go. So now my client has a file, and now now I can do screen share. When you click on screen share, you have a couple options. You can either share your screen, or what I personally love to do is I like to request my client's screen. This empowers your client during the session to take control, to be able to have some access and control. For me, I also like to do this selfishly because it is it engages my adolescent clients in a different way, and make sure that it also holds them a little bit accountable during their therapy session with me. If they're chatting with their friends or playing video games or surfing the internet, it does hold them a little bit accountable to really focus on our session. So I'm going to request client 1's screen by clicking request screen. Again, on my provider view, it doesn't look like anything happened, but if I go to my client views page, you can see that your client gets a request. So they get a request to share their screen. I'm going to click share my screen. I'm going to check the box for the screen I want to share. And then if I go back to my provider view, I can now see the file that I transferred. I transferred an emotion wheel to this client, and now my client has access to to this file, but also access for screen share, and it empowers them to they get to move their mouse around, and they get to we can focus on whatever part of this we want to. But this is a great way, again, if you are sharing X-ray results and you want to go over an X-ray with a client or a patient. If you want to go over a nutrition plan, if you want to go over any kind of handout or intervention or mindfulness activity, whatever it may be that you are sending to your client, you can also then share your screen or request a screen to go over that with your client. I love this emotion wheel. It's really, really convenient. It also has wonderful variety. I'm just going to really quickly share with you. We had some requests from our first presentation where I found this emotion wheel. And so I just popped up on your screen. There's a humansystems.co, their website has great emotion wheels, and there's a needs wheel, there's a comfortable emotions wheel. So this is my kind of go-to for my emotions wheel. So if you want that, that's great. If you want to get rid of that little pop-up, just click that close button in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. You can close that out if you don't care about it. So that is file transfer with screen share to then do a planned intervention. So that I love that combination: file transfer, share your screen, or ask your client to share a screen, and then do a planned intervention. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of professional features is how to edit your waiting room to optimize your workflow for your practice. One thing that's really frustrating to me is when a place doesn't have a great workflow. So I just had a doctor's appointment the other day, and they sent me an 18-page intake form. This intake form, they were like, please fill it out ahead of time, and that way you save time when you're in the office. And I was like, great. I downloaded the PDF file, and it wasn't editable. I couldn't type in this 18-page intake form. And also, I don't have a printer. I feel like a lot of us don't have access to printers anymore. So I couldn't print it. I couldn't type in it and email it back to them. So I had to go early to my appointment. Once I got there, I filled out the paperwork. I gave it back to the receptionist, and the receptionist couldn't read my handwriting in a few different spots. So I had to explain it to her and tell her, and then she would type it in. And I had to do that like 3 or 4 times. And the whole thing was really cumbersome. So I want to teach you right now how to optimize your waiting room to make sure that you're just implementing workflows that work for your practice. And I'm going to do it by showing you my custom waiting room. And again, you can customize your waiting room to have anything that you want in it. We also have all these other workflows that you see up on your screen, like your waiting room link is always live, invites via text message, email, and calendar that are all HIPAA compliant, using a room passcode. I'm not going to go over any of those. Please just use the handout to click on the links to pull up help articles, and they will explain specifically those different workflows. So again, I'm not taking the time to do it during this session today, but download the handouts to make sure that you have access to it. So with editing your waiting room, I'm going to go back to my screen that I was sharing. And my client's still sharing their screen in this scenario. So I'm actually going ahead and I'm going to click stop sharing. I'm on a call right now, so I can't see my waiting room. So in order for me to go back to my waiting room while I'm on a call, or I like this, like sometimes like during an intake session, I start a call with a client and I say, hey, have you had a chance to fill out my intake paperwork or download my mandatory disclosure statement or take a look at my private practice policies? And if my client says, no, I haven't, instead of doing file transfer and doing anything like that, what I do is I say, okay, well, why don't you go back to my waiting room and fill out that intake form, and then when you're done, why don't you just message me in the chat? So right here, instead of hanging up on the client, I don't want to hang up on the client. I want to push the pause button, and this pause button sends the client back to the waiting room and allows you to go back to your dashboard. So I'm going to click on that pause button really quickly. And now I see that my client is still up here in the left-hand corner of the screen. And if I go to my client view, I can see that my client still has access to my waiting room. Now, like I said, your waiting room is fully customizable. So here's my waiting room. I give my clients a little bit of instructions to do the pre-call test, to make sure that they're taking the call from a quiet space, and then do some mindfulness to kind of get themselves centered before a session. And then I also say, if this is your first session, complete your intake paperwork. Anything that you type in here can be linked to any resource that you have available. So my intake forms are actually on a Google form. And so I have it just linked to my Google form, and then they can complete it at their leisure. To edit your waiting room, you're going to want to, again, log in from your provider view. I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to turn my camera off. And then you're going to click on this tile that says Edit Waiting Room. From here, you can add multiple sections by clicking on a plus button like this. And so you can see I have 3 blocks of text, and then I also have a video down here. Anytime you click on the plus button, it's going to ask you what you want to add. So I want to add a text, I want to add an image, or I want to add a video. So in the case of optimizing your workflow, you can add any text that you want to take your client to anywhere you want them to go. So if I want my clients to go to my intake form, I might type in intake form, and then I'm going to highlight that. And when I highlight it, there's this little button that comes up that says link. If I go ahead and I click on this button that says link, it asks me, where do you want the client to go when they click on that link? Well, I don't have a great resource right now, but you would put wherever you want your client to go. So you would link your intake form if it's a Google form, or if it's a PDF file that you have saved on your Google Drive. And we can go over this at a later time in another webinar. But in this case, I'm just going to put in google.com. So if I want this to take them to google.com, then that's all I have them do. And then now all they have to do is click on intake form, and it will take them directly to where I want them to go. I'm going to delete this block just because I don't want that on my actual waiting room. And then always, anytime you make a change on your waiting room, always click save, or it won't be reflected. So this is how you optimize your waiting room to make sure that you have resources available for your clients to make your life easier for intake sessions or for future appointments. Or you can put handouts and resources here. So maybe after a session, you can put, I was talking to a provider yesterday who's going to put client testimonials. If they wanted to leave an anonymous testimonial, they could click on that link so that, they can get some feedback. Anything that you want can be put into your waiting room. So that is really a great way to optimize a workflow for you. Okay. Now, my favorite part of the presentation that we're going to talk about today is our new professional features. I know we're kind of right around our time. We're supposed to start a question and answer right now, but we're gonna go in about 5 to 10 minutes into our question and answer time. We'll still have about 5 minutes at the end, but I want to talk about our brand new features. These just launched on September 20th. And they're really exciting. I love them. I just had a session yesterday with a client where I was doing Whiteboard and sharing my screen, and the Whiteboard is such a great interactive way to engage your clients. So when you log into Doxy.me, on the left-hand side, there's going to be a new button that says Extensions, and there's going to be that little new banner right there. And I want to show you what that looks like on my end as a provider. So I'm going to go back over into my actual Doxy.me screen. And on the left-hand side, on my, so I sort of lied to you. On my screen, it says Telehealth Tools. See this? It says Telehealth Tools. On your screen, it's most likely going to say Extensions. I just had early access because I'm an employee, and that's what we named it first, but it's extensions free for all of you. If you click on the extensions, here you're going to see all of our professional features. And Whiteboard, I'm going to remove this so that way you can see what it looks like from when you get it. Whiteboard, Teleconsent, all of these will be available to you, but they might be up here. And you might have to click on them. So if I click on it and then I click add to Doxy.me, then I can now have access to that new feature. So make sure you click on extensions, go in, add the extensions that you want to your Doxy.me account. So that way when you start a call with a client, then you can see those new tools. So the tools that we're going to cover today are, we're going to talk about the Whiteboard, we're going to talk about Teleconsent, and we're also going to talk about Live Interpreter. So in order to show you these 3 new features, I'm going to start a call again with my client. So I'm on a call. This is a call with myself. You can do this anytime you want to play with any of the features that you want. So on the left-hand side, now I can see a couple new buttons here. So I can see Teleconsent, I can see Live Interpreter, and I can see Whiteboard. To start here, I'm going to click on Whiteboard. As it loads, Whiteboard is just a wonderful tool to make your sessions a little more engaging with your client. Both you and your client have access to the Whiteboard. So right now I'm on my provider view, but now I want to show you what the client view looks like. I'm going to go to my client view, and you can see my client has access to all the tools on the left-hand side, just as I have. They also have access to add photos by clicking this plus button if they want to put on a photo on here. So like, let's say I transferred that emotion wheel. They want to put that emotion wheel on the Whiteboard, they can do that. From my provider view, like, a simple activity I love to do maybe in my first session with a client is I like to do a timeline activity. So I'm just going to take this arrow button, I'm going to draw an arrow across, and then I'll ask my client, I'm going to go back to my client view, and I'll ask my client to maybe add some sticky notes of life events that have happened for them. So maybe they were born in 2002, the 20-year-old I'm working with, and they can go in here and they can resize this, they can move it around wherever they want to put it. And then let's say, when they were 10 years old, another life event happened. So they'll add another sticky note. They moved to Colorado, and this was in 2012. So they can again resize this, place it right here on the timeline. So this is just a simple activity I like to do, but you can do drawings with clients. You can engage clients. I did a sociogram with several clients. That's another great activity. You can add again X-ray results, and you can highlight, and you can put in exactly what, you can circle exactly what it is that you're trying to cover or go over. And again, your client has access to the view. So, but for my provider tab, let's say I do a really fun activity with my client. I want to make sure I can save this. So down here in the bottom left-hand corner, I'm going to zoom in on that button here. I can click on this button, and this exports or saves everything that's in this whiteboard. So I'm going to click on this, and I can click on export. This saves it as a file on my computer, and now I can either add this to my client's file on their electronic health record, or I can put it in whatever kind of file systems I keep for my client. But now I have access to this whiteboard activity anytime I want to. Doxy.me doesn't save it automatically, so you need to make sure that you save it on your own. So I'm going to close Whiteboard. So that's Whiteboard. It's really fun. It's great. Play around with it. Try it with a client that you maybe been seeing for a while, but it's a really awesome way, especially if you're interacting with adolescents or younger kids. In addition to Whiteboard, we also now have Live Interpreter. Live Interpreter is great if you need somebody quickly who can speak another language to help you talk to a client, or maybe if you're doing just a quick overview with somebody or a consultation, you want somebody to come in and be an interpreter on the call, or maybe you're pulling in a family member that speaks a different language for a few minutes, and you want somebody there that speaks that language as well. Now, I'm only going to show you a little bit of Live Interpreter, because if I click this continue button, it will actually bring an interpreter into my room. So I don't want to do that, but I want to show you that we have a full list. I don't know specifically how many languages we have, but we have a ton of different languages here available for you all. So from here, it also tells you the language, and then it tells you how long the expected wait time is for an interpreter to join your call. So you can see here, Spanish is less than 30 seconds. And then if I click continue, an interpreter joins my waiting room, and you'll see them down here in your patient queue. They'll show up as another person in your queue, and then you start a group call, just like you would with any other client. You do a group call by clicking group call, and then adding that interpreter to the call. It's wonderful. Now, the only thing with a group call is that it does cost a per minute dollar amount. I think it's 99 cents or $1 a minute. And so you just want to be thoughtful about the use of that. But it is HIPAA compliant. Everything that is within Doxy.me, whether that's file transfer, screen share, voice, Whiteboard, all of it is HIPAA compliant. So those are trained professionals through a company called Voice that we have an agreement with, that you can then use integrated right there within Doxy.me. The last feature I want to show you is Teleconsent. Teleconsent is awesome. I love this new feature because it allows you to collect digital signatures from clients. We have here a standard consent form for telemedicine preloaded into everybody's account. So you can see right here, I have a standard teleconsent form. I can either look at that form, I can preview it, or I can share it with my client. So in this case, I want to actually get the consent from my client. So I'm going to click on share. When I click on share, I have full access and full control of this. So I'm going to type in my name, and then on my client screen, I can see that they can see exactly what I have, but they cannot scroll through this document. I'm trying to scroll right now and I can't. As a client, they cannot scroll. So you get to walk them through this form step by step. You can go over as much detail as you want with them. And as you scroll, it scrolls on your client view. Now, from the client view, they can then sign this form and click on Sign Document. On the provider view, I can then see that signature and I can finalize that document right here, all integrated within Doxy.me. I can now download this, add it to my client's EHR, add it to their files or wherever I keep my client files, that now we have teleconsent on file for them. If my client wants that signed document, I can now go back to file transfer, and I can transfer that file over to my client. Now, with teleconsent, you can add, if you on the handouts page, and if you go back to the handout, I'm gonna jump back over to that right now. You can add some custom forms for a nominal fee. I think it's I forget exactly what the fee is, but it's in the help article that it's linked to. So if you click on teleconsent on the handouts, it'll bring up a help article the help article explains to you how you can put your own forms to collect signatures from your clients on your Doxy.me account. And again, the fee is on there, as well as the amount of files that you can have and how to specifically get those custom forms on your Teleconsent. Okay, so those are the new features. I just wanted to make sure that we went over them. So Whiteboard, Live Interpreter, Teleconsent are brand new. To add them, make sure you go to the Extensions tab, add it to your Doxy.me, and then they're going to be there when you start a call. Again, the best way to practice any of these tools that I've been showing you right now is to just do a call with yourself. So make sure that you do a call with yourself. That's going to be the best way for you to play with these features. The last tool here that I want to talk about is Adherely. And as a thank you for being here, you all are going to get the Adherely tile. Adherely is a wonderful way to engage your clients in between sessions. It's a totally different company with a different tool, but it's within this Doxy.me family of products. So Adherely is free, it's HIPAA compliant, it's secure, and I like to kind of say it's like an adjacent to an electronic health record or a practice management system where you get to actually add clients and load clients. And then you can, from there, assess your clients. You can give them formal assessments like the GAD-7, the PHQ-9 that are research-based and evidence-based. And then you can practice different interventions with them. There's a library of interventions that you can do with your clients on Adherely, really specifically for mental health professionals. And these exercises range from mindfulness exercises to CBT exercises to there's a wide variety of different interventions that are there available to you that you can do during your session with your client. Then you can do automatic reminders, which are awesome. All these automatic reminders, you get to set it right after your session. And then, 3 days later, when you set that automatic reminder to go out, then it goes out through a text message to your client in HIPAA compliant text message that's not your own. And then after you remind your client, then you can review everything. So you can review the assessments that your client took. You can review the interventions that they've been practicing. You can see what they did in between your session to see if they're adhering to the therapeutic plan that you've created for them. So as a thank you for being here today, we're going to give you access to the Adherely tile on your Doxy.me platform. But if you want to just go to adhere.ly, you can sign up right now for your own free account. Now we have about 3 minutes remaining. I have not been looking at the chat at all. I see that there's 62 marked questions. And so I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to jump over to those questions and try to answer a few before our time here today. I'm just going to see. Don't worry, you all will get you will all get a copy of this webinar as a recording. You'll also get everything as you'll get the handouts and an emails from us as well. So if you couldn't find the handouts, it's in the upper right-hand corner. You click on handouts and then you click on download. It looks like 100% of you have downloaded it. That's wonderful. Let's see what other questions are out there in the ether. You can ask me any question right now. I'm sorting it by newest. I do not see Adherely on my extensions. Will you be enrolling us into that? Yes, we will be in our feedback form, which you're going to get here in just a second. Our feedback form has a spot for you to put your Doxy.me waiting room link. If you add your Doxy.me waiting room link into that feedback form, we will then add the Adherely tile to your account. Let's see what else is out there. We will send you this. Yes, we will definitely send this to you. Let's see. Can I get a copy of this webinar? Yes. Could full intake forms be placed into Doxy as well? So another training coming up in the future, we're going to talk about a tool called DocBot, and DocBot is a great way to do full intake forms that will work seamlessly with your practice. And you can look into DocBot on your own time by going to DocBot with a K, DOCKBOT.io. So DocBot.io is a great resource for you to do your intake forms in a really easy fashion. Okay, we are right at our time. And before you start to leave, I want to just say thank you again so much for being here today. I want to be the first to admit that this is a lot of information in a very short amount of time in a jam-packed way. I probably talked way too fast because I wanted to make sure that you had all of the things that I wanted to go over today. And so again, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm going to launch our feedback form. It should have just popped up on your screen. So before you go today, it would mean a lot to me to get some feedback from you all about how we did, about the content of our webinar today. But in addition to that, the biggest thing with our feedback is we want to make sure that we're going to give you, future webinars on topics that you want. So there's a space in that feedback form for you to put in what you want to learn next. In addition to that, that's how you're going to get your Adherely tile as a thank you for being here today. If you fill out that form and you add your waiting room link to that Google form, then you're going to get the Adherely tile here in the near future. So I see about 30% of you, 32% of you have clicked on that feedback form. But we wanted to say, again, thank you so much for being here. I know we didn't have time to get through all of the questions that have been asked. We will make sure that we email questions out to those who have asked it. I see about 50% of the audience has clicked on the feedback form. We would love 100%. I know that might not be realistic. If you have a couple minutes, it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to fill out the form. If you fill out the feedback form, that we would really greatly appreciate that, as well as that's how you're going to get your Adherely tile. So thank you again for being here. We can't wait for the next time that we do a Doxy.me live webinar. And I hope that you join us again in the future. We're going to be going more in depth about all of these different topics that we talked about today. And we're going to slow down and we're going to start focusing on one tool at a time. We're going to start at kind of a low level, and then we're going to work our way up to really good application for those tools in clinical interventions with working with doctors. We're going to have other presenters and other speakers. And so please come back for future Doxy.me webinars. And I hope that you enjoyed today. So again, thank you so much. Click on the feedback form. It's also in the handout section. So if you want to go to the handouts, you can click on the feedback form there. But again, thank you so much for being here today. And we will see you all next time. So again, fill out that feedback form, and thank you again.